What is Tu B'Shvat? Well, quite literally, it's the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Shvat, but that didn't really tell us anything. It's a minor Jewish festival because it has to do with trees. And the text, the Mishnah, tells us that this is the new year of the trees, which again doesn't tell us very much, because what does that even mean, the new year of the trees? It's the birthday of the trees. What do birthdays mean? Why do we know about this? Why do we care about this? Why is it a holiday? All of these are still questions. So when we say, what is Tu B'Shvat? Really the answer is, Tu B'Shvat is the birthday of the trees. It doesn't mean that every tree is born on that day, but it does mean that God makes decisions on that day about the fate of the things that grow in the earth. The trees, the herbs, the grasses, the grains, they all have a fate that's determined for the coming year. And that fate is decided by God on Tu B'Shvat, on that day. So it's not a Jewish Arbor Day. It's not this sense of going out and hugging a tree. There are similarities in terms of the focus of being aware of it. The idea of supporting the trees, planting trees, is certainly a tradition on Tu B'Shvat. It's the moment that we get that glimpse into what the rest of creation is doing while we're going about our business. That there are days that we believe are momentous days of divine decision-making. The new year for humanity is Rosh Hashanah, and that's when God decides the fate for the coming year of everyone who lives. Well, the new year of those things that grow from the earth is also decided on a certain time of the year, and that time is Tu B'Shvat. We're connected to the trees in Judaism. We're connected to the whole environment, but we do have this wonderful connection with trees in a metaphoric sense. The idea of calling the Torah a tree of life, that we have trees of knowledge, and a tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden. There is this relationship that goes on between Judaism and trees, and it's very, very supportive. And so it would make sense that we're aware of this day, and it would make sense that we celebrate this day. But there's also a very practical side to it. The Torah actually forbids us from taking the fruit of a tree when it first begins to bloom. That when we plant a tree and it begins to bear fruit, we have to leave it alone for 3 years. We're not allowed to harvest that fruit. We're not allowed to benefit from that fruit. In fact, that fruit is off limits. We're forbidden to do it. We have to count 3 years. And after those 3 years, we would start the harvest, and we would share the harvest. We would tithe the harvest. There are things we need to do with that fruit. But how would we know the first year? Are we watching every single tree to note when is that tree first giving fruit? How are we possibly going to keep any kind of catalog of these trees and their fruit? And so Tu B'Shvat allows us to designate a year end, a year beginning. It's our reference point. We count the tree's birthday on Tu B'Shvat. And so when Tu B'Shvat comes, that'll be the first year for a given tree that has begun to bloom. And now we wait 3 years. And the question, of course, of why? Why would we wait? The tree is blooming. There's beautiful fruit there. We should partake of it. We should enjoy it. But the answer is that really going in and taking that harvest is an intrusion. We're imposing ourselves into that tree. It's not there for us to harvest. It's there because it's rooted into the earth, and it's part of nature and the environment. It's part of this beautiful, beautiful picture and tapestry. So basically we understand from Judaism that we're to back away from a new creation that's establishing itself in the world. We are not to impose on it. We are not to intrude into it. We're not to take our desires and needs and immediately start to aggressively impose into that life. We back away for 3 years. We let it establish its roots strongly for 3 years so that it can have 3 cycles of bearing its fruit, so that it does manage to thrive. And only once we believe it is strong, firm, and thriving can we then create that relationship of imposition, because it is imposition before it becomes a relationship of partnership. That's Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat allows us to be aware of these things, to remind ourselves that we are part of this picture, not the masters of this picture, that everything created has a relationship with God, that we need to count these things. We need to restrain ourselves and back away until we count the Tu B'Shvats, and then we know we can establish those partnerships and those relationships with everything that grows, that creates the beautiful world around us and the symbiotic relationships we have.